sometimes is not what we actually would like to see, but we're forced to see it. And we're forced to see it, one, because perhaps we didn't change with the time. As it is right now, the marketplace is not saying the same thing that it said when we were children, and they said, oh, just go to school, get a good education, get a good job. Well, I found out that I could go to school, get a good education, and they tell me I don't have enough experience, or I got too much experience. And every time that it has been said to me that I don't have enough experience, I say I would leave out the company, leave out the door saying, well, how am I supposed to get the experience if you don't give me the opportunity?
Right.
It becomes to be one of those types of things. And so at the end of the day, for the 15 minutes that you had, that you no longer have anymore, the question is, where do I go from here?
Right.
Because if you don't have a where do you go from here, then you obviously didn't have a why, which means that you probably wasn't supposed to be where you were supposed to be anyway, no matter what it looked like.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But here once again, persons embrace certain things for all different kinds of reasons. And that goes, once again, where I said, everybody has a price, but what is your definition? What is the definition behind the price? Because if you have no definition, then, it circles back around to purpose, and it's just like saying that you don't have a purpose.
Right. Or do you even have an end point? Because this is the thing.
Right.
And when does this expire? When do you stop selling your soul? When do you stop being naked on the screen or saying lyrics that you don't mean or you don't value, or it's not really you? This is the writer. These are the writer's words, or this is the outfit that they told me to put on for a video. When does that change? Like, when is the end point? Let me tell you a quick story. So, you know the song Summertime by Will Smith, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, right? The Summertime. Well, I went to audition for that video. So the video for Summertime with Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, it was in Philly. You guys know I'm from South Jersey. So my mom and I went. I must have been maybe 18, maybe 19, somewhere around then. I've never dressed provocatively, even when I was young. I never had everything hanging out, and I didn't have a freakum dress on then. So, I mean, I had, a nice little outfit. I didn't look like I was going to Sunday Mass or anything like that. I looked cute.
Right.
So when I go there to audition for the video, and I know a lot of people in that video, a lot of people I know, they're actors and they're models, and even though it was a family reunion and they said that was all their people, it wasn't. But that's a whole nother side of fame, and how they say, oh, this is this and that illusion and all of that. That's a whole nother show. But anyway, long story short, I went to audition for the role, and I'm in the room with a producer, which is a woman, and someone else. I can't remember what their role was, but it was for the video. And if you remember the video, it was just a family reunion kind of style video. They were in the park, family, Soul Train line. You saw the cute girls in the car driving by. It was just a fun, loving video. Nobody was half naked. Nobody was undressed. However, when I went for that video audition, you know what they told me to do, Leroy?
What's that?
And this is coming from a woman. She said, I want you to dance. Fine. We got to dance in the video. And she said, I want you to touch yourself. My mom was like, oh, well, what's going on? This is Will Smith. Parents just don't understand. Like, he doesn't even make that kind of music. The song is not even that type of song. She told me, an elderly white lady, she told me to audition, to dance and touch myself. And of course, me being me and always me, I'm like, I'm not doing that. So obviously I wasn't in it. I didn't get the part, but I know people that were doing that because that was part of the audition process. And I know some of the people in it, good girls, sweet girls, but some people will do that. They didn't sell their souls, obviously. They were in the video in shorts and dresses and nothing. They weren't scantily clad, but that was part of the audition. So I didn't do it, and I didn't get a role in that, which is fine. Every time I couldn't listen to the song for like 2 years, though. That's the jam now. I mean, it was the jam then, but, I went back, with some of my friends, shout out Ava, and, a couple of people were in that video. And that's just even a small portion of it. What will you do? Like, will you listen to the instructions? How bad do you want it? If I wanted it really bad, I can tell my grandkids I was in the summertime video, or I can tell my children, but I chose not to do that. The thing about fortune and fame is you got to have, like Leroy said, you got to have some type of, value in yourself. You got to have some type of purpose. If you're walking around here with no purpose, then you're walking around here like a zombie. You don't have an end point. You don't have a destination. You're just going to ride it till the wheels fall off. And when the wheels fall off, will your soul fall out? And you really got to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? Do you want to look back and say, why did I do that? Or why did I do that in my 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s? Or do you want to do things where you can't show your grandmother, you can't show your children, you're walking around with shame? Or do you want to be okay with what you do and to sleep at night? Because this is the thing. On this show, we do believe in God, and I'm not afraid to talk about God. What God has for you will always be for you. It doesn't matter what you do in the process. He will always have it waiting for you. And sometimes things are tests. Things happen in life where they're tests to see how you're going to act, how are you going to react. And like Leroy said earlier, for every action, there is a reaction. And you might have 15 minutes of fame, but then for the rest of your life, you might be working at Target. And now everybody done seen your boobies, your everything, because now you're working at Target at the register. You don't know how long this thing is going to last. So I say pace yourself and have some type of destination in mark. Even if you are going to do it, have a destination when you're going to stop. When are you going to stop? How far is too far? How much is too much?
Yeah, I think that, I don't think that there's an endpoint simply because sex sells.
Mm-hmm.
And I relate that to something that a friend of mine said to me a few months ago. He said, it's two things that we all want that we don't talk about, that we don't want to talk about: money and sex.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to talk about it, so we want it. Mm-hmm. And so the end point in there, I don't want to say that it will never be an end point, because at some point you mature enough in life where you begin to see life from a different set of lenses. And you see life from the standpoint that, life is lived more better when you're living with some sense of value versus some sense of price.
Absolutely.
Some sense of price. And so being that, sex is something that sells, this is why, one, whether it's in a reality show, a commercial, or TV, sex is modeled at 8 o'clock at night. Children ain't in the bed at 8 o'clock at night, and everybody knows that. No child that I know right now goes to bed at 9 o'clock like I did when I was a child, or before 9 o'clock, even on the school night.
Or 7:30 or 7:30.
So that's over.
Right.
And not only that, with social media and all those types of things, children have access now. That's what they have. They have access. And with access, it's no problem with seeing, or put it this way, a 13-year-old, 12-year-old boy or girl on the internet looking at sex videos or whatever the case may be. They know how to get to it. They know where it's at, and they're talking about it in school.
Oh, you better believe it. You better believe it.
So it's something that sells. It sells, whether we want to talk about it or not, whether we have difference of opinions about it or not. It sells, and it's selling. Whether it's in the soap operas at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, or whether it's 2, 3 in the morning, it's selling. And somebody's paying for it. So they're saying just what you're saying, and that is, money is the rule of the crop, and money rules everything. And so in that, I'm going to show sex. I'm going to tell it, and I'm going to, allow people to come to their own conclusion about what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It used to be a time where, when I know where I grew up at, it used to be a time if we saw somebody that was a queer, that was gay, we were throwing eggs and rocks and all that old type of thing, running them off the block and all that old type of stuff. And nowadays, it's like water coming out of the faucet. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. Why? Because it sells.
Right. And everybody, you're right. And everybody is, and I'm for it. Everyone is like, okay, well, your body, is a form of expression. Showing your body and your breasts is part of human nature, and everybody has those. And, I don't even really want to mention her name, but Amber Rose and that statement she made with her whole hoo-ha out and saying that that's feminism. No, it's not feminism. You're making an excuse just to show. That's not feminism because you're showing that. We all have that. Every woman that was born a woman has that. You know what I mean? So that you're not doing anything spectacular. You're not proving a point. All you're showing is that you're not afraid to show your hoo-ha to everybody. You know what I mean? But then she has a child too. So you didn't get any money from that. You just broke the internet. And sometimes that's satisfaction enough for someone to do, so they can tweet your name or they can hashtag you. And sometimes these days, especially, that's good enough. Honestly, these days, you don't even need to have the fortune. Most will settle for the fame. So I ask you, listeners, are you just ready to settle for anything? Because you don't want to settle for anything. You want to be a man or woman of virtue. It doesn't make you, like they used to say back in the day, a square or prudish. It makes you someone with character and virtue. And I'm not saying that the people who expose themselves don't have that, but it could be gone for a moment, and that's the thing. You got to really ask yourself, what would you do to get a piece of that pie? Like, what will you do to get a piece of that limelight so someone can tweet your name, so someone can take a paparazzi picture? Because that is a low price for your soul. I'm sorry. And you got to learn to say no.
It goes back to, when we were growing up, or put it this way, when I was growing up, there were times when we were in positions where me and my friends were in position where we were selling drugs just to get tennis shoes. So you put your life on the line for a pair of tennis shoes. And that was the thing to do.
And that was your price. That was your price.
Yeah, that was my price. Everybody has a price. And so we would do this to sell tennis, to get tennis shoes and sweatsuits, go down Charlie Rudolph's and Simon Harris and those places, and we have a good time. But no price is far more greater than your life, in particular when you get caught. And you get caught in a situation where they say, hey, listen, man, you got 10 years in jail.
Yeah, and it's not worth it. And
no price that far away that.
Right. We have about 3 to 4 minutes left of the show. But I just want to tell you, listeners, it's up to you. You guys are adults. Hopefully, if you have children, then you are the ones to protect your children from this industry. We don't know the exact story with Bill Cosby or R. Kelly, but a lot of those parents decided to let their children or young adults go with R. Kelly. A lot of them let them go with Bill Cosby for the promise of fame. They let their children, in both cases, some of these were young adults. These were people under 18 who eventually turned, of course, over 18 in the presence of these men. Now, I'm not convicting them. I don't know. I wasn't there. That's not the point. The point is, and it's not a debate on whether they did it or did it, what's right or wrong. That's not the point in this conversation. Maybe we'll talk about that in another show. But some of these parents push their children. Even the show Toddlers and Tiara back in the day, where they dressed the kids up provocatively with makeup and little dresses and bustiers and all of that. And they push their children onto these people and into these events and on these programs. And I ask you, what is your price? And and with Leroy's, what does a man profit to gain if he loses his soul in the process? And that's really what it's about. So you got to think about it, and you got to